And so I always try to be encouraging. Even with my son playing in the NBA, he used to make fun of me. He said, Dad, you don't never say I do nothing wrong. I say, no, there's a way, you know what I mean? There's a way of approaching things. I think we get so caught up in seeing all the bad things that the good things are right there in front of us. And that's what you need to try to focus on.
You are now listening to the highlight reel builder for authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer and author of the best-selling book, Stay the Course, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some goodies today from the guest that's up next. Coming back at you again, it's your one and only host, Dom Brightman of Going North, because today's episode is sponsored by the wonderful new merchandise, baby. We got some new merchandise indeed for the show. So if you're on the go, we got some mugs for you. Got some t-shirts, some tank tops, some hoodies to keep you warm, some notebooks, some stickers, heck, even some pins too, even some magnets for your fridge. So go on ahead, check out the show notes and click on that link and you will be taken to a wonderful site called tpublic.com/store/Dom-Brightman, and you too will be able to cop yourself some great gear. It's some advancement gear to help you advance others, to advance yourself, and let folks know that you have an abundance advancement mentality. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, it's the Going North podcast. And my goodness, we got a treat for you today. That's right, Black History Month, the time you're hearing this, most likely in terms of 2022. And we got one heck of a guest for you today, because today's guest in particular, a graduate from Warner Pacific University. And not only that, he's a veteran of the USA, folks, a veteran from the Navy, and he served in the Navy for 6 wonderful years. So six-pack ab goodness for this wonderful man right here. And he's coached basketball for over 30 years. My goodness, more than some folks have been alive. And not only that, a member of the Fathers and Men of Professional Basketball Players, as well as awarded one of the best basketball books to read in 2021 by Book Authority as well. And to top it all off, he's the father of an NBA player, the one and only Marvin Williams Sr. So let's give it up for the dad himself, the original Marvin Williams Sr. How you doing today, Mighty Marvin?
Hey, my man, how you doing today?
And I'm doing great. Man. It's great to have you on, man.
Hey, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a pleasure with all the plums. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Yeah. A little play on Les Brown's classic Plum Please a Pleasure. Always had to drop it, but hey, my goodness. Well, definitely an honor to have you, especially being a veteran, father of a son who played in the NBA for 15 years. Like, my goodness, man. Like, my man's got a whole freaking boatload of wisdom to share for folks, and folks have got to glean into it. And heck, even father, especially black fatherhood, it needs to be put out there more in the forefront now more than ever, man. So my goodness, like with everything else, with introductions, they can't be 7 days long. So mind filling in any cavities I may have missed about you?
Oh, no, you got them all right. You got them all right. Great job. Thank you.
Oh, good. All right, I passed the test. Good. All right, good. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So my goodness, so growing up, did you ever see yourself being the father of an NBA player and a veteran at the same time?
No, I actually visualized once I learned the game of basketball. I actually wanted to be in the NBA myself, but I wasn't fortunate enough. I went through the rookie and roll of it, the whole process from growing up playing. I was fortunate enough to play with guys like Michael. I grew up playing with guys like Michael Jordan and Kenny Gaddison and those guys, and so I got the experience of playing against some really great players. And so I tried to pursue that career, and it didn't turn out for me, but that's okay too. So I ended up getting a better end of the deal anyway. I got a son in the NBA.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed, and it's really awesome. Heck, even I think you're actually the first person on this podcast who actually played with Michael Jordan, man.
Yeah,
like especially in his North Carolina days too.
yeah. When nobody knew who he was. Yeah, you know what I mean? That was the best part of it. I got to see him grow and blossom.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny part about it is, I think in the past interview you mentioned how you actually saw that he started in baseball first, which is interesting
Yeah,
factoid.
yeah. It cracks me up when I used to hear people talk bad about him playing baseball. I used to laugh because they don't that told me they didn't know a whole lot about who he really was. Because I used to go watch him play baseball. Yep, me and his brother Larry used to go watch him play baseball. He got into basketball a little later in his life because of his brother Larry.
Uh, well, that's what I'm talking about, indeed. So, my
Yeah,
goodness, man. So, growing up or around folks who eventually attain a level of greatness, you get to attain your own level of greatness, and you got some offspring that have their own level of greatness, man. So, like, what's probably been the three main lessons you've learned from raising a son who has actually played in the NBA successfully, man? Because not every dad can say that.
well, probably the three things I learned. One was you still got to be a father. I think sometimes I watch these kids throughout the 15 years when I was watching my son go through the league. Once these kids get in the league, the parents seem like the parents become the children, and the children become the parents. And I think with Marvin, I made it absolutely clear that me and your mama gonna always be your parent. I don't care how much money you got and who you think you are. We know who you are. And so we try to work hard and keep him humble. And it was easy because he was already humble anyway. And I think that was one of the main things. I think the second thing was just to be I think throughout that process of watching them go through good nights, bad nights in the NBA, just be there for them and let them know that you love them and be a good parent to them. And probably the third thing I think I learned probably was watching how hard he worked and feeling proud that he deserved everything that he's gotten out of the NBA because he put the work in. And I tell some of the young kids I used to coach, basketball players aren't made during the season. They're made when there's no cameras and no lights and no fans in the stands. That's when the basketball players are really made.
Amen to that. You definitely can say that again. Because, yeah, because you had to raise him
Yeah,
and you gave him your wisdom. He took that wisdom, ran with it, and
yeah.
added his own spin to things. And you even dropped something really important is that, hey, you still have to be the parent here. You can't just like reverse situation, be like, all right, we got ourselves a meal ticket, y'all. It finally
Right.
worked. We won the genetic lottery.
Yeah, that ain't how it really works. That ain't how it really works. They ain't supposed to work that double way anyway. Yeah, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's what I'm talking about, dude. So, my goodness, amen to that, man. So, with basically fatherhood and heck, even being a coach on top of that, you've even actually coached, if I'm not mistaken, both boys and girls basketball, right?
Yeah, yeah. I coach girls. I started out actually. Marvin learned the game by watching me coach girls basketball, and there was a couple of girls who were really, really good. Went on to play college, and one of them went on to play. A couple of them went on to play in the WNBA, and so they would spend time after practice teaching him the game, and so he basically learned it from watching the girls and watching me coach them.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah, man. Because let's tell me your past interviews, and it was actually interesting hearing you actually mention how it was actually easier to coach the girls and the boys. Because usually when you show them something and it works, like they're like they'll respect you forever, as opposed to boys like, hey, there's still that ego thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Man, they ain't gonna they'll listen to you for so long. But with the girls, man, I tell you what, once they love you, they'll go through a brick wall for you. The guys, it's gonna take some work to get them to believe and trust in you. You got to really build trust over time with guys. But once the guys are the same too. I mean, the younger guys that I've coached, once they get to the point where they believe that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing, and they see success, then they're with you all the way. Yeah,
Definitely can say that again. And heck, even with building trust, man. So I guess in addition to your level of expertise and competency, what else helps you to really build trust with the young men, especially coaching them?
well, for me, I think I carried the father figure everywhere I went because I always treated the kids just like they were my own kids. Because I know in my mind, when a parent tells me I'm responsible for taking care of their kid, taking them on the road, traveling all over the country, they may be gone for 3, 4 months at a time, and I see their family. I'm ultimately the dad and the father. So not only am I their coach, but I'm also that guy that when they're off the court and they having problems and things ain't going right in their life, I'm that guy I want them to come talk to, because I'm gonna give them some good advice. And so I try to still be the father figure 24 hours a day for the kids.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting, indeed, especially with the high school students, no less. So, how do you think that transferred over to your career now, being an author, basically a motivational speaker?
I think I'm excited. It excited me because the things that I've taught some of these young men that I've coached, it's worked. And not only has it worked on the court, it's worked more so off the court for them. And so I always try to be encouraging. Even with my son playing in the NBA, he used to make fun of me. He said, "Dad, you don't never say I do nothing wrong." I say, "No, there's a way. You know what I mean? There's a way of approaching things." I think we get so caught up in seeing all the bad things that the good things are right there in front of us, and that's what you need to try to focus on. You know what I mean? So I try to tell my young kids, I try to teach them, yo, man, even though you don't make it in basketball, there's a whole lot of other things. If you love basketball, there's a whole lot of other avenues you can go down with basketball. Don't give up because you not where you want to be as a player, but you can find happiness with basketball in other areas.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Definitely so right about that. So, my goodness. So, with that in mind, like with your goals of originally being in the NBA and then getting your son there, and you having this wonderful book about being an NBA dad. So, I'm pretty sure you probably drop a whole lot of information, especially for aspiring youth who probably want to eventually make it to the NBA. So, mind sharing a tip or two or a gem or two for kids to keep in mind if they're looking to join the NBA from a parent who's actually had their son make it to the NBA?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think you really want to inspire to be a role model. You want to be able to show the because as you follow somebody ahead of you, there's going to be somebody behind you that's going to follow you. So I try to teach my son and all the young kids to be a good role model, a decent human being. I try to teach them how to endure when things don't go the way you plan. You still fight through it and keep on moving forward. And then I tell them, your attitude is probably the most important thing, how you handle things. Because I learned one thing from one of my coaches in college. He said to me that made the most sense ever. He said every problem has a solution. You just got to sit down and think about that solution. And so I try to teach them, to be disciplined and do the right thing and keep your word. If you say you're going to do something, do what you say you're going to do. Be where you say you're going to be and behave the way you're supposed to behave.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right indeed. Amen to
Character is
that, man.
everything, man. I think that's the most important thing. That's something money can't buy. And I tell my young men and them, you could if you could be rich and be an idiot. You know what I mean? So right? What good is being rich if you
It's so
could be
true.
an idiot, right? So it's more fun to meet a rich, humble, decent human being than it would be to meet a rich idiot. So you know,
Uh, now that's a social media post right there. Like, don't be a rich idiot. Yeah, man. Like, be a rich idiot. Like, I'm sure you'll probably like you might fall down worse and harder than a regular idiot,
oh,
maybe than a
absolutely,
broke idiot.
yeah, absolutely, yep, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
I think that one of my financial advisor guys told me one time. He said, "Man, he says, if you nice when you're broke, then you're gonna be a rich nice guy." He said, "If you're a jerk when you're broke, you're gonna be a rich jerk," it's really true. That trends tend to follow. You know what I mean? So I always try to keep my son humble, keep myself humble, and my young men that I'm involved with, because I still have a lot. You know what I love is a lot of my kids that I coach. They come to my house every chance they go off to college. They call me on the phone. They text me. They come to my house as soon as they hit town. One of their dads said, "I already know where he at." He said he probably over
That's right. Coach Williams' house the place to be, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna teach you the right things to get you to do the right things, and that's the most important thing.
Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, sir, indeed. Yeah, man. So you've been on this interview tour for the past few months and counting with this wonderful book that you've been published, and I'm sure you got more in the way. So, is there a question that you wish you would be asked more often when you're being interviewed about the book and your future career with everything that you're doing?
No, I think most of the people that I've interviewed, I've had one guy ask me the most honest question I've had in a long time. They asked me why did I title the book Secondary Break, and so
Mm.
he was a Carolina fan, so he said you had to name that after the Carolina's offense. I said yeah I did, and then I also it was kind of a twofold title because God gave me a second break. You know what I mean? Even though I went through a lot of stuff that I went through in my life, I didn't make it to the league, but I got another chance to get. And my son became an NBA player. He went to the league, so that was just like me being there.
Oh wow, man, that's powerful, man. So a secondary break in life. So what was that secondary break for you, man?
My secondary break was getting a chance to coach my son and get my life together and having him and his mom believe in anything that I told her I could make him a great college player, and she believed in me. He believed in me, and he did what I asked him to do on the court, and she did what she could to help. So and it worked. And I think that was my second chance of getting toward the NBA, being part of the league.
Ah, okay, cool, cool, cool. That's what I'm talking about too. And I guess Marvin chose us all on his own. It wasn't like a forced thing. It's like, yeah, like I ain't making, but you got to make it for Dad here, Junior. I named
Yeah,
you
no,
Junior for a reason.
yeah. I think a lot of people, a lot of parents tend to do that. And I think when I first came out and everybody knew that I was managing Marvin, everybody thought, yeah, because you didn't get to the league, you want to live your life through him. And I said, no, that's not, I enjoyed my life. So, I mean, I've done all a person in my position could have done to get in the league. And during that process, every second, every moment of it was blessed. So I don't feel no need to have my son go to the NBA to make me feel better. I've already, even if he wouldn't have went to the league, if he'd have been a garbage man, I would still feel blessed. Again, I grew up with the greatest basketball player of all time. Spent days, hours, weeks, weekends with him, and I got to meet a lot of people along the way through basketball. I got to do a lot of traveling with basketball, so I felt blessed in the sense of everything. So having my son go to the league wouldn't change that.
That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, powerful. Indeed,
Yeah.
powerful. Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That goes back to what you said earlier in the conversation about like making sure you still remain the parent regardless, like no matter
Yeah.
what goes on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, random question been liking to pop on guests recently since books are food for the mind. If your book was a particular food item or a meal, what would it be and why?
A steak. And because a steak has protein, it's good for your body and good for your mind. And I think my book is good for your mind, and it's inspiring if you read it. If you read it and you look at it and say, hey, this guy went through all this, and look how he became successful. Even though some people, a lot of people consider success based on the financial aspect of it, but I think success is so broad, and everybody got their own personal idea what success is. Success to me is waking up and your kids are okay, you're okay, and you don't have to worry about your kids. They're fine and life's good and God bless you. So to me, that's having success. So I think a steak would be the perfect fitting because again, it's full of protein, it's good for your body and good for your mind.
There we go. That's right. That's right indeed. The best steak on the market, y'all. That's right. That's what
Yeah.
this is, y'all. That's right
Yeah.
indeed. If you vegan, forget that. Eat this steak, y'all.
Steam the broccoli, honey. Steam the broccoli. Still work the same. Yep, steam the broccoli. It'll work the same.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed, man. Yes, indeed. Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in the year of 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
I would give myself the advice to continue to work hard and stay the course that you already have your mind on. I will probably learn more about financial investments and stuff like that. I think at 25, I'll probably spend more time learning more about that to invest, like, for the future. Whereas, you had when I was 25, I was busy working, making money, and trying to survive. I would probably spend more time managing my money and looking for investments, like when Microsoft would have came out or some of these new technology companies. I would love to have been able to be the first on the scene and do that. So I would probably teach myself a lot more about investing.
That's what I'm talking about. Solid advice indeed. Solid advice indeed. That's right. And gotta not only make the money, gotta find out proper ways to save and invest that money too, y'all. That's right.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
Yes, indeed. Have that mess grow faster than weeds, y'all. I'm telling you. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. My daddy used to, it was a funny thing. I was sitting up one day thinking about my dad. He used to get on me every week. He said, "Man, all you gotta do is save $20 a week, $20 a week." And so back when I was 16, I'm thinking to myself, what is $20 a week gonna do? So one day I got up and I started calculating that thing. When I got 40, I was so mad at myself. I said, "Man, had I listened to him." You know what I mean? Man, it sounds
Mm-hmm.
cheesy, but $20 a week, you like, man, $20 a week ain't gonna do nothing. But you do that over the course of 40 years to see what you get. The numbers has totally changed. It totally changed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. $20 a week. There you go. Them
Yeah.
bricks, man, they build up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. The weeks turn into months, the months turn into years. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they fly by.
They fly by. You got that right. You got that right. Man.
It's like, it's like I'm not even close to 40 and I'm just getting understanding what they mean by time moving fast after college. I'm like, my goodness,
Yeah.
heck.
Yeah. Days go by like hours, man. I was like, good gracious.
It's like I could have swore I was 25 yesterday. Like, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew who knew 15 years could happen in 24 hours?
Yeah. Right.
Oh man. Well, for those who want to get probably 15 years of wonderful wisdom, or should I say 15 plus years of wonderful wisdom in this wonderful package known as your wonderful book, what's the best way for folks to do so and keep up with all the stuff that you're doing?
They can follow me online. I'm currently on Instagram at Marvin Sr. 01. I try to post interviews and keep people up to date with what I'm doing in my book. They can also get my book online, Amazon.com, Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Google Play. Those are social spots.
Well, there you have it, folks. Follow a man on the IGs. Y'all slide into the DMs. Be like, man, your book is awesome, dude. Can't wait for your next one, man. It's going to be hotter than fish grease, man. I'm telling you. That's right.
I'm
And
working on it. I'm working on it.
yeah, man. I'm sure you've gotten that already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People read the book and said, "Man, you can't leave us hanging like that. You got to write another one." So I said I'll do that. I'll do that.
hmm That's right. It's a gift and a curse. It's like, oh, sweet, they like it. Oh,
Yeah.
darn, they like it. I have to keep writing.
That's right. Right. Yeah. That's what I said. I said, boy, I got to come up with another one now.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to talk about how the penguin went to church, y'all. That's the next book.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't have penguins that went to church. I can't get out what the heck I was even going to say that. But yesterday, follow my man and on the IGs, keep up with all he's doing. So, any parting words before we close up shop?
Hey, if you got a dream, follow that dream no matter where it takes you. Sometimes people get so overwhelmed by the big picture, they don't take time to take the small steps. Because I think if you got to walk 1,000 miles, the journey begins with one step. And you take one step each and every day, it's going to eventually get those 1,000 miles knocked out. So don't get overwhelmed if your plan don't go as you hope it would. Just regroup and continue on.
Thanks a bunch for listening to this podcast episode. Hope you really enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to this show if you haven't already, because more greatness is coming your way. And if you're so inclined, be sure to share with at least 3 other people in your network so that way more folks can catch the fire that is on the Going North podcast. Keep winning at life and advance others to advance yourself.